a regular governing board meeting of the Jefferson Elementary School District to order at 7:02 p.m. Ms. Kovare, can we get roll call, please?
Manufo Leah Inga Anawai,
Here.
Aaron Rashba,
Here.
Shaquille Ali is not present, Anthony Sujisaka,
Here.
and Andrea Jordan.
Here. Next, we'll be moving to the Pledge of Allegiance. Can I get Mr. Valenti to lead us in the pledge? Thank you, Mr. Valenti. We'll be moving on to the approval of the agenda. Are there any comments or questions? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That was unanimous. Moving to communications, board member acknowledgements and commendations. I will start on my right.
I don't have any acknowledgements or commendations, but I do know that we have back to school night coming up soon before our next meeting. And just wanted to, I know people don't always catch the latter part of the meeting, but wanted to offer my condolences to the family, and their loss. It's just such a tragedy to lose one of our students in that way. So, I was sharing with our superintendent, been getting a lot of great feedback from folks in the schools, and they love the energy, great transition, and I was excited to see the first day of school pictures. So, and I appreciate that we have an Instagram page now. My kids are like, "See, Mom, you guys are stepping it up." So, I just want to thank our superintendent and the team for that. But great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, there's nothing like the first day of school, and it was just so gratifying to be at FDR last week, dropping off my kids, and to see all of the energy in the parking lot, in the building, and all the hugs. Just to see students seeing their friends for the first time all summer, the teachers, the parents, everybody greeting each other, and it just reminded me what a warm, welcoming school district that we have. So I just want to thank everybody who made that possible, all of the school staff who worked during the summer, especially custodial staff getting everything ready, teachers preparing, all of the administrators and other JESD members getting ready for a great first day of school. And certainly all the parents and students getting their kids there on time, and looking forward to a wonderful school year. And I want to echo my condolences as stated by Trustee Leaninga Anawai. Thank you.
What they said. So yeah, and then also acknowledging how, my school went back on the same day that theirs did. And so acknowledging all of you are exhausted. It's hard getting back in the swing of things right after break, but keep at it. I have a feeling this is going to be a good year.
I echo also my fellow trustee sentiments. I did want to also acknowledge that this year there were no papers coming home. I think this is the first year that a lot of it was done online, and so I just want to acknowledge that. That was a step forward for us, and I look forward to seeing how many more changes we continue to make in the future. And with that, I am going to move to superintendent comments.
Yes, good evening. As we all heard, we had a very smooth opening of school. We've been hearing that from all the sites we've all been around the first week. And I just want to thank all of the staff. I mean, there's so many people to thank, so I don't want to name them all and miss somebody. But this is probably one of the smoothest openings. This is what I'm hearing as well, that we've had in a long time. So I really appreciate all the work everyone has put into this. A little bit of news. So as you were just showing, we're promoting ourselves. We want to make it really easy for folks to learn about our district. We're calling it Work, Live, Learn in JESD. And so these are posted on our social media. We have it around the district. So we're hiring, we have housing coming soon, and we have enrollment. We have openings in all of our schools. And so please, we encourage everyone to check out our district. Join us on, we just started Instagram and Threads. And so join us on Facebook so that you can learn about what's happening in our district. We have a lot of things posted. We just started Instagram last week and we already have 100 followers. So that's really exciting. So I want to thank our Valaire and our tech department, everyone for helping support that. Also, we just got some good news from the county today. They are going to be approving our LCAP. So we'll be getting our local control accountability plan. So we'll be getting a formal official letter soon. But I want to thank Ms. Scott and Mr. Lauro for all their hard work to help get the LCAP. It's a large document and a lot of work that goes into it. So that's exciting. No changes. So this is great news. So that will be coming soon. So, and yeah, open house, back to school night for elementaries will be on September 7th. Some elementary schools had back to school night before school. So check with your school to see what time it starts because all schools start different times. But elementary, if you haven't already had your back to school night, it will be on Thursday, September 7th.
Thank you, Superintendent McCulloch. We are going to be moving on to general functions. The consent agenda, the administration recommends approval of all the start items on the rest of the agenda. Are there any comments or questions? And if not, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That was unanimous. Moving on to item 6C, CSBA call for nominations for directors at large. CSBA is seeking nominations for directors at large, African American, American Indian, and county. The administration recommends that the board considers making a nomination. Nomination packets are due to the superintendent by September 13th, so a little over 3 weeks away, for consideration at the September 27th board meeting. This is submitted mostly for board information. Did we want to discuss? Can we discuss? Did we want to discuss nominations? If anyone has anyone that they wanted to nominate? And obviously it was very specific for what they were looking for as well.
So this can come back. So this is information. So if anyone had any questions, you can ask, but we'll bring it back to the September 13th meeting so that we have time to nominate. It's a board nomination, so it has to be approved by the board. And it doesn't have to be someone on our board. It could be someone in any board that meets the criteria.
I know Trustee Ali is not here, but again, if anyone else had any comments or suggestions before the next meeting. And if not, that's fine as well.
Just quick clarification. You said it could be someone on any board, so that could be like a site council or
School board. It
It
has to be a
school board
California
member.
School Board Association member.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
And I guess the only question I have is if we don't give a nomination, then that's fine too as well.
Yes.
Perfect. All right.
Does anyone want to be nominated? Okay. I would nominate you if you wanted it.
I think it seems like since we don't have our full board here, it might be best that we wait until we have Trustee Ali and then we can have this discussion at the next meeting. All right. With that, we're going to move to item 6D, Jefferson Elementary School District Board and District Goals 2023-24. The administration recommends the governing board reaffirm the board and district goals for the 2023-24 school year. Are there any questions on this item? We're on 6D.
So I'm passing around a printout of the board goals, and one word is highlighted that is added. We're really focusing on collaboration as part of our professional learning, so we wanted to make sure that that was highlighted in these goals. These goals are broad goals, and they are what are typical that you see in districts. And they're related also to our local control accountability plan goals. We have goals related to every single one of these as well.
Really quick question. Number 5 is just a print mistake, right? With
Oh, yes, it
AF
printed wrong. It is
Scully.
fiscally.
Okay, I figured it
That's
was
interesting.
not AF Scully. So
Yeah, it
Thank you.
printed wrong.
that's
I
okay. I
apologize
just
for
wanted
that.
to make sure.
And I wanted to bring up that I remember that we discussed this during our board retreat that because we did not actually go through and update these. I remember someone had asked, a trustee had asked about like, do we want to update? So these goals were created prior to this board, this complete board. So just, note, if we did want to go back through and change them, we can at a later time. And I guess for Ms. McCulloch, the goal of us reaffirming this is,
Well, we would want to keep these goals for this year because that will guide our local control accountability plan, which we'll be rewriting for the next 3 years, as well as for my superintendent goals when we're meeting next week.
perfect. Any questions, comments?
I like they added the word collaborative.
Yeah, these seem very consistent with what we've discussed.
Perfect. Well, with that being said, this is an action item. I will entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion, if there are no further feedback, to approve as recommended by the administration, the board and district goals for 23-24 school year.
Second.
There's a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That was unanimous. Now we'll be moving to item 6E, Valera Strategic Advisors. We have Rolando Bonilla from Valera Strategic Advisors will provide an update on the public relations, community engagement, social media, and other support activities provided to the district and plan activities for the 2023-24 year as described in the district's LCAP.
Mr. Jordan, it's good to see familiar faces and new ones as well. Typically when I start my presentation, when I'm up here in Daly City, I get to say that it's nice to beat the heat.
Can't say it today.
It was good
I'll open it up to the board for any questions or comments.
Thank you. Good to see you. It's been so I actually learned something tonight that I didn't know about Volair. So is Volair managing our social media sites? Who like decides what's going to be posted and actually manages the posting of it and responding to people and that?
We do that.
Oh.
In conjunction with the district. That's something that where the new administration walks in, very presidential, right? But if that happens, those things will get sorted out. But typically, we do the monitoring, we do the posting, we work the content collectively so that there is, again, making sure that everything is within the context of what is important to this district. But it is something that we do manage. Your predecessor would look to us to pay attention to comments, respond to comments. We treat these platforms as really customer service. The expectation today is that if I post something, say something, there should be a pretty quick response. So we can't, if we don't have an answer, we'll say that. We'll say, appreciate you reaching out, but we're going to get back to you. So we do, funny enough, get some DMs on the backside in terms of, right? But we do manage it.
Okay, that's good to know.
A question. It seems like, most of the communications are internal and the benefit of informing our families and constituents of the district. How do you decide when there is the potential or value to take something external and promote it to the greater public, to get attention for our district?
Well, we actually operate from that premise, that whatever goes out goes to everyone. If it's a district issue, that may feel like it's very inside baseball, we still want to expand that out because we do think that it's important for the residents of this community that will vote on parcel taxes, that will vote on bonds, that candidly just want to know that their taxpayer dollars are well spent, are managed right. We do really make it a focal point for us to have that broader conversation. And that's a great question because here's the thing you run into in education a lot, whether it's K-12 or community colleges, there's this belief that you talk to groups differently because it's in district and out of district. But the reality is there is a way to have that broader conversation and allow for it to mean one thing to the in district crowd and mean something else to the out district crowd, but still within that same context of moving folks forward with that message.
Do you have any questions?
Oh, the mic was off the whole time. Thank you. Oh, there you go.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
I have a question about these little cards. Did you make these? And then how are we promoting these?
It's a great question. Did I make these?
No,
Okay.
I didn't think so.
we made those internally, but we are actually getting Volair to help support that. It was a brainstorm and we just created it, but we're having Volair help us with that concept.
And then how are we distributing them? Just or have we not decided yet?
Currently, we have them posted on our website and our social media, but what we want to do is create banners.
Okay.
So that's the plan, but we haven't gotten that far yet.
Awesome.
Which we would have the capability to design, right? I think from a fiscal standpoint, you get the value of 15 different disciplines under one tent, because again, a misnomer with communications is, and I always tell folks, communications is such a wide discipline. So on any given day, folks managing accounts will really be good at about 2 or 3 things. I'm barely good at one, but the rest of the team collectively. So you get the full bandwidth of the 15 team members that have different, we have, for example, a 9-time Emmy Award-winning reporter that actually is very hands-on here as well. So we have the ability to not only package, but also distribute through different outlets. Yeah, great question, thank you. You stumped me.
All right. I have a question about, this question is to you, but also to my fellow colleagues and also superintendent. Is there room for us as a board to talk about initiatives and things that we would like to see highlighted, maybe every so often on television or even in print. So things like our youth cinema project, ethnic studies, and even academic highlights. Maybe we're doing a good job with reading or something like that. Is there room for that?
Always, always. This is a creative process. So I think for me, having been in your shoes, it doesn't work without your buy-in in some way. It doesn't have to always be in this formal setting. Could be anything from meetings, could be this setting if this is what you like, but there's always room. Candidly, you're the hub here. So if you're not feeling bought in to the message that we're putting out there, there's going to be a disconnect at some point. So there's always room. The preference is up to the board and the superintendent collectively, but we work in districts where it's very board-driven, superintendent, both. We like it when it's both. It's a good, happy, healthy marriage, and I think at the end of the day, it makes everyone feel good because we all want to be heard. I mean, that's really what this is about. We all want to be heard. And I think that's one of the value propositions as well, that we do go out of our way to ensure that the voice that's out there is unified and representative of all of you as an organization. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that. And I hope that we can set up some type of structure to make that happen.
We could connect offline with the superintendent and suggest some models that work in other districts for purposes of efficiency. That's always something we're happy to do.
So on our agenda, it says to talk through the planned activities for 2023-24. I think we kind of didn't really do that. We kind of said, oh, we've done this, we've done that. We're doing social media. So is there a way that we could maybe just discuss what is already planned? Mm-hmm. And then that way that can go through kind of what Trustee Ali is saying in terms of what we think we may be able to add in, again, offline, and then go from there?
Sure.
Okay.
So I meet regularly with Volair staff, and we've included a lot of our IT. Ms. Baroni has joined us, as well as Ms. LaRock, who is the one who created this. She's been working in HR and workforce housing and after-school programs. So when we meet, we're talking about how to communicate out, so what are our platforms as well as what's in the newsletter. And my main messaging is our vision: welcoming, engaging, and safe schools. So messaging the vision, but then also a big focus on attendance, because that is something that is we are seeing as a problem, chronic absenteeism. So we're really messaging regularly, regular daily attendance. So that is one of our highlights and focus areas. Also promoting our district. So as you were saying, so the Youth Cinema Project, the newsletter, today's newsletter, went out to families and will go out to the general public, I believe, on Friday. We're showing some of the movies from MP Brown and saying, mentioning that it was part of our parcel tax dollars that funded that. So we want to use the newsletter and our social media to highlight some of these innovative programs that we have, like the Youth Cinema Project, ethnic studies, the workforce housing, once that is up and running and we're ready to break ground. And that's something to promote for people to come work in our district. And so we want to pull that together as well. Just more posts highlighting what's happening in our schools. Every school has something unique about them. So making sure that we're showing student voice and all the learning that's happening. And we also, as like this says, work, live, learn, we want to promote our district to come work and live and learn. So we're talking about doing a recruitment video for staff as well. So it could also be a recruitment video for families. So something that really promotes us, high quality video that we have out there on social media, on all of our platforms, on our website, as people on EdJoin, as people learn about our district, a link that says this is what our district's about. So when they see a job posting, they see a recruitment video. So those are some of the highlights, but we're still brainstorming and we're thinking through a lot of ideas. And as ideas come, more ideas come. So we have a good team so far, and we keep expanding who's going to be on that team so that we can, the more brains together, the better we have more ideas. So
Perfect. Thank you. I think that was very helpful for us to figure out what we can add to that, or if you've already thought about it. So that was very helpful. I have another question. This is going to be tricky. So a lot of what you said was based on the internet, our website, our social media. Is there anything else we can do that is not social media driven? Do we have any ties to any local newspapers, local radio stations, local TV? Because what I have realized, because I also work with marketing and sales, is that communication is fine, but comprehension is really what matters. And so if you communicate and no one is really understanding it, or because we think that it should be social media, or we think that people are going to our website, and really we only have, I'm just making this up, right? 40% of people are actually going into those things.
Right.
But we have maybe, an older generation that they still read the newspaper, or they still watch the news, or whatever it is, right?
Great question.
How do we address that gap?
Well, it's not a gap.
Okay.
It was a preference.
Okay.
So it was a district preference. We're known, for those of you that have worked with us for a long time, we're actually known for developing a lot of the content you watch on television. So that's, for us, something we do every single day. The preference in the past was do that for big ticket items, which is fine, it made sense. The preference now can change. Not everything, as you know, with your background, with your political experience, not everything you think is a big ticket item is necessarily a big ticket item. You have to factor in variables. For example, is it germane to what's happening in the world at that time? What time your event's going to be? A lot of things that are out of control. But that was really just the district preference at that time. However, you did see, for the things that we did win awards for, the awards were because of the volume of press coverage. And keep this in mind, we're talking about the Bay Area is the 5th largest media market in the country. Right? I won't name names, but next door, they were happy about it being on television once. The 3 times that the superintendent asked for that here, that happened. And that's what those awards were about. So we can do that consistently so long as we have the content, the overall blessing from the organization to do that, but that was the district preference, definitely not a gap. Great question, I love it.
Thank you, I appreciate
I
that.
appreciate you saying that, because that's fun for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what I was kind of alluding to when I said, could we have more spot coverage in print and television to have a proactive and consistent messages out there. So, that's out there. So for instance, if someone has an issue with something they think we may be doing because another district is doing it, or districts around the country are doing it, but we already have our message out there here and there of how we're doing it. Anyway, I think everybody gets what I'm saying.
No, your point's well taken. I think for us, again, I have a funny feeling that after this conversation, the preferences are going to change. And that's good. That's good, because I agree with you. I think for us on the creative side, it's always more fun to really see it play out when, from a content sharing standpoint, those on whatever platform you use, those are always at the highest number in terms of interface, interaction, sharing, and all of the above. And they are the fastest way, to your point, by which to communicate with folks that are not on these tools. Mm-hmm. So I agree wholeheartedly. Again, I have a funny feeling that after this, direction may change in terms, but I also want to set expectations, right? The kindergarten grand opening is not going to bring, unless you got a kid in it that's dropping 40 points a night and the Warriors are calling, right? So that would be the angle by which to have that conversation. But definitely, I think something we'll pick up on and assess where those opportunities exist. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, last question. Sorry. Here I am again. As we think through, again, mine, it wasn't a suggestion, it was more of a question, right? Like, what is the option? So that was very clear, and I appreciate that. Once we decide what platforms and what content and the demographic, obviously, whether it be internal or external in terms of how we're promoting ourselves, how do we plan to collect the data so that way we can do it better. Like, oh, you know what? We see that we're getting more engagement from this platform, or we see that we're getting more, you know, visibility and increased attendance rates because of this specific thing. How do we intend to use data to then push the needle forward? Does that make sense?
You know, in this space, unlike, for example, the San Francisco 49ers or the Warriors, where it's volume driven because that is a consumer product that people want to purchase and be a part of that lifestyle. That's not the case when you're talking about public agencies, school districts. So that's why, and I give you credit as an administration, you recognized that we're looking at the kind of the 360 approach. You want to make sure that you're using as many of the tools that are available and new ones along the way. I mean, during the previous administration, there were times that it made sense to go really throw back and do handbills because that's what it took. So the goal in this setting, and data's funny in this setting because I hear that often, but the reality is you're looking for volume. You want to be able to say it was all covered because, again, unlike the 49ers or the Warriors, respectfully, there's never going to be a mad rush per se to say we just have to be there, right? What is Superintendent Miklik doing today, right? I mean, that's not happening here. And even some of these platforms, the reason you have to stay consistent on that is that they themselves, remember, the platform that's cool today, by tomorrow isn't cool. So because of that, you still have to maintain your anchor vehicles by which to have that consistent conversation. But you also have to recognize that those new platforms that are there, you do want to take advantage of them because some segment of the population is going to want to interact with it. And that's just another opportunity for us to have that conversation. So the better, I think, is more of a conversation with us about how can we collectively better identify opportunities that make sense from a consistent conversation standpoint to do exactly what you had talked about in your earlier question. Or more of, in this region, for example, video is a very big way by which folks consume data. So previous administration recognized that too, and there was an uptick of video usage, and I think my team may have shared already, we definitely recommend more of that as we come into the new year. And I do think there's a role for the board in that as well. I mean, we've done everything from videos about get to know your board or, you know, take turns in terms of what's important to you. You, at the end of the day, you are their representative. So I think there's room for everyone to share in the overall messaging. But great question. You are keeping my feet to the fire tonight.
Thank you. That you answered all the questions pretty well. So that makes a lot of sense. And are there any other questions? Yeah.
I had really, it's a comment though, is just talking to the process, because I appreciate hearing that this is, since I've been on the board, this is not something we've been engaged in where we got to be a part of what we could recommend. So I want to look at the process and what that would look like, leaving that to our superintendent to work out those logistical pieces of the frequency or like deadlines, like, hey, if you want to submit something to be considered as content for review. I think for us, that would be a great start, at least me. But I also had a question, and doesn't have to be answered today, because every time we're offering our comments, either at the beginning or the end of the meeting, many of us share out things from other communities outside of our school district or outside of our city. So my question then is that, are we able to, what are the barriers for us to be able to share that out? Because I know a lot of the content that I see, at least on these platforms and in our newsletters, are all internal. They belong to our community. They belong to our school district. So my ask is what is the protocol or the process when it is a neighboring district or if it's another community or another event? Because we actually do share those things out here. And is that something that we can consider to promote in any of these platforms? Because I don't recall seeing that, it's always been something that's specific to us.
Yeah, I would like to actually promote community events because that actually would support our community members. So we can put it in the newsletter. Like the Vibes and Smiles was a community event. So I think, and we had that in our newsletter. But I think we can also, I just lost my train of thought, sorry. I thought it was on silent and it was. So I don't know how that one got through. Sorry about that. But yeah, so back to, I'm sorry, I lost it completely.
Sorry, so just in referencing like, you
Oh,
know, something in
community,
South City
yes,
or
yes.
something happening in like Coma is part of our district, but a lot of times those are not daily city activities. So because we already share them out when we're doing our report out, are we also able then to utilize that, our platforms to share it out, to expand our reach? And so, but it's always good to see you.
Yeah, likewise.
I remember what I was going to say. On our website, we do have community news. And so we have been promoting things like the libraries and the other community events happening. So that's where we can put it on our website so that it's a consistent place to look, as well as the newsletter that comes out once a month. So yes, to answer your question simply that I forgot to.
And just to piggyback on that, seems like the high school district communications would be uniquely, appropriate, and talking with them to align on events would be a really good strategy for us.
Yeah. I actually very much am enjoying this conversation because it's fluid, it's evolving, I love these ideas because what do these ideas have in common? You're pointing people to community events which support community, but also drive awareness, right? We can't expect the public to necessarily buy into our message if we're not willing to participate with the public. So I do appreciate your comments, and I think we can definitely align. No problem.
Yeah, this is actually a good opportunity for you because, to my knowledge, Daly City, we don't have a radio station. We don't have a TV station or a regular, there was a time where there was more coverage and certain media outlets had like a Peninsula Bureau or even the Daly City office. And behind the scenes, I am talking to some of those people about some of these things. So this is a good opportunity for Volaire.
For sure. No, I appreciate that. Commissioner Lee, we will buy a TV station together and broadcast Daly City News. But thank you. Thank you.
So just to confirm,
No, we're not buying a TV station.
no. So just to confirm, Superintendent McKillick, you mentioned that we will be able to, and we are currently posting community events on our website, and we should be able to do so in our newsletters as well, correct? Okay.
When I receive them, I do post them.
Perfect.
But I think because the newsletters are once a month, the timeliness of it. So if it's an event that is too close, then we won't post it on the newsletter. We just post it on the website.
Got it. Perfect. Are there any further questions or comments?
I just wanted to share that Volaire has been great. So when we get these community events, they'll go in a newsletter, but we'll also post on social, so it's more up to date and not have to wait for the end of the month when the newsletter comes out. So it also goes out in all three channels.
Perfect. Thank you.
One thing that, if I may, that also sets us apart is that we are available for situations 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we get those calls and we return them. And I think for us, the reason we do that is we'd much rather have a conversation with leadership ahead of time. If, we joke, haven't had a chance to give you the joke yet, but I'll give it to you now, which is that it's better for us to have an ongoing conversation than for you to go to bed and it starts consuming you. And then the next day, it's no longer a thought, it's something that happened. So the thing about communications that's often overlooked is everyone looks at the output, everyone looks at the tools, but it's really a way of thinking, a strategic way of thinking by which to share information, but also by which to do it in a way that moves your overall goals. In this case, letting the community know the services that you provide in terms of educating kids on a consistent basis. So we are available 24/7. I kid you not, I got a call one time at 2 a.m. I somehow have mastered the art of picking up, like I've been up the whole night, no problem. Person says, I didn't wake you. I said, of course not. Of course you did, but that's the job, so we do.
Are there any other comments or questions?
Thank you. We go way back, so I know your leadership well, and it's great to see you continue to do this work and do it well. So thank you, Mr. Bonilla.
Thank you. Oh, mister.
How much
Hardly.
money are you making for us on ads?
There you go. There you go. That's a good idea. Hold on. Let me make a call.
I also wanted to just echo my fellow trustee sentiments. I really thank you for coming and presenting tonight. Thank you for taking those 2 a.m. calls. We honestly, I think this is a really much needed conversation. I feel like we all feel a little bit better now about what is going on. And I think it's just transparency, communication, but really comprehension of that communication. And so, well said, all the things that we just discussed today. So I do have, this is an information item. So I have an actual question now, because I did get a public comment on this information item. Can we take public comment on information items?
If I'm not mistaken, public can make comment on any items on the agenda.
Perfect. All right. Well, then I am going to call for public comment. I have Miss Blanco here.
And thank you for the time.
Yes.
Ms. Blanco, good to see you as well. Yeah.
No, that's not the comment.
That actually wasn't it. Thank you so much. So my name is Jennifer Blanco. I'm one of your colleagues in the San Bruno Park School District, and I did want to just quickly speak on Volaire. Volaire was with our district some years ago, and take advantage of all his services because he will make you look just 110% on top of your game. So I also wanted to mention, I want to say thank you to Fo. Thank you so much for asking the question, and Andrea, you too, for asking about posting information outside of your community, because that's actually why I'm here tonight, but I'll speak further about that in public comment. I just want to let you know that your board policy 1325 doesn't allow you to share information from your neighboring colleagues, because I know back in March, I'm also with Oye, Latino Youth Summit down in Redwood City, and I was trying to promote it throughout Northern County, and we weren't able to promote it here in your district. And I know that some time ago, I approached your district in amending board policy 1325. And so anyways, you guys are in good hands with this guy. I don't know how long you've had this guy here for, but yeah, good job on having him serve your community and disseminating information, pushing it out. So I'll speak to you guys a little later. Just wanted to give him some props.
I didn't know she was going to be here, but thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Blanco. All right, so that was just an information discussion item. So we're going to be moving on to item 7A. The administration recommends acceptance of a contract in the amount of $121,000 and $121,600,000. Sorry, let me back up. In the amount of $121,600. My brain is not working tonight. $121,600 with CAM Educational Services LLC to provide an after-school enrichment program at Franklin D. Roosevelt, Ben Franklin, Fernando Rivera, John F. Kennedy schools for the 2023-24 school year. The contract will be funded by the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program Grant, the ELOP. Are there any questions or comments on this? Yes.
All right, so I had 2 questions. Does anyone? I don't know if I should ask one now. If anyone else has any, or I have 2 small questions. So, first, when does the grant expire? And then follow up to that one: is this program going to be sustainable long term because it's a grant?
Yes, I'd like to speak on that. It's funded by the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program. It's built into this year's enacted state budget as well as ongoing. It was passed by Governor Newsom, I believe, in 2021 or 22. We're currently projecting to get about $4 million ongoing, depending on what our unduplicated pupil count is. So yeah, we have a lot of ELOP funds that we're trying to build into, other types of enrichment. This is one of, I believe, like 6 or 7 different enrichment after school programs that we have that are on a rotating basis. So, in terms of continuity, yes, there's continuity. Yes, there is funding, and we're looking to provide access to program. This is a STEAM program. We're trying to provide the access to these programs for all of our students.
Yeah, the only reason I asked is just because, one thing we talked about a couple meetings ago is after school programs and how important they are, and how we were just saying, well, the consistency of our programs is not always there and how we've expressed that, I think, a very long conversation at 2 meetings ago. And so that's why I asked that question. But no, it's good to know that this program is there. So hopefully they do well. And will we have a chance to hear from them and their presentation on what they can do?
Yeah, I believe Superintendent McCulloch had maybe mentioned to you guys, I think later in the year after we get past the initial rush of school being back and the programs being back, of them coming and presenting some of our after school programs.
Thank you. No further questions.
I wanted to ask Superintendent McCulloch, do we have, because I've been trying to track all of the programs at our schools, because I have parents who say, is that offered at all the schools? And then I get stuck. So is this on our websites? I will also look after, because I'm asking myself, but I figured, let me ask that question out loud. Is this on each of our school websites, what's offered, at each site, such as these programs? Would that be listed on the school websites?
That's a great question. I will have to get back to you on that
Okay,
one.
thank you.
Are there any further questions or comments?
I mean, I have a question, but I hope it's answerable. What is CAM? What is CAM?
I'm not sure what it stands for, but it's just the name of the company.
Right.
Yeah.
But do you want to know what it is?
I mean,
Like what they offer?
I think you already mentioned some of what they do, right?
Yeah, it's a STEAM program. So engineering, science, arts, music,
Robotics,
robotics. Yeah.
coding, I believe. 3D printing, computer science.
Okay, thank you.
So I was going to actually make a comment because I know we were talking about after-school programs, and want to make sure that we're clear that this is not for an after-school program. This is for enrichment in addition to after-school programs. And we had in our last meeting on the agenda, we approved other enrichment programs. So this is in addition to those enrichment programs, but specific to these schools. But also, no relation to Cam, but this company also does summer programs is what I've seen. My daughter, who is in our district, has also attended these programs, and so it is exactly what you said. It's STEAM, and they change depending on the time. They change what it is that they're, I guess, enriching or talking about with the students. And so I am familiar with them, again, not with our district, but separately, and I have seen them in action. So I am happy to see it on the agenda. And with that being said, are there any other questions or comments? Seeing as there's not, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
So first and a second, all those in favor say aye. Aye. That was unanimous. We're going to be moving into item 8E. The administration recommends the ratification of the approval for issuance of a check paid to the city of Daly City for the building permit fee in the amount of $983.35. Oh, I got that number right. The payment is for the JESD faculty and staff housing project. This will be funded by Measure U bond funds. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing as there's not, I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve the permit fee.
Second.
The first and a second, all those in favor say aye. Aye. That is unanimous. We'll be moving on to item 9A. The administration recommends approval of the retirement request for Richard Wagman, K, teacher, SBA, effective July 27th of 2023, and request an appropriate resolution be prepared commending him for his years of service with the district. Mr. Wagman has been employed with the district since August 29th of 1997. Are there any comments?
Congratulations, Mr. Wagman.
And I echo those sentiments. If there are no other comments, I will entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the retirement of Richard Wagman.
Second.
It's a first and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Congratulations on your retirement, Mr. Wagner. We're moving on to item 9F. Assignment of certificated personnel outside credential authorization for the 2023-24 school year.
Excuse me, Ms. Jordan, I'm sorry. There was a typo on there with the ed code listed. I just noticed it on there. I can read the proper ed code for the record. It should be 44258.2, not 4458.2B.
I'm sorry, could you say that again? 4425.
8.2.
There we go.
Sorry
So
about
the
that.
B should not be at the end.
The B should not be at the end and the 2 should be before the 5.
Thank you.
Thank you. I apologize.
All right. Okay, thank you. So to be in compliance with the California State Education Code, the Board of Trustees is required to approve the assignment of certificated personnel to teach outside of their credential authorization period. Tara, and I'm sorry, Moxney, thank you, meets the criteria to teach French through the following ed code, as mentioned by Mr. Valenti. Are there any questions or comments on this item? Seeing as there's not, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. That was unanimous. We'll be moving on to item 10A. The administration recommends approval of the retirement requests from the following employee and request an appropriate resolution to be prepared commending her for her years of service with the district. Aria Cruz, Campus Safety Assistant at Ben Franklin. Date of hire is March 29th of 2013. If there are no comments, I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve the request and thank you for your years of service.
Second.
So first and a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That was unanimous. Congratulations, Ms. Cruz. I know I've had the benefit of working with you because my daughter went to Ben Franklin, and so definitely appreciate your years of service and congratulations on your retirement. We're now going to be moving to item 11A. The board will review and revise board policies / administrative regulations, board bylaws for March 2023 CSBA board policy updates, as well as AR 5132 dress and grooming, BB 9220 governing board elections, and BB 9220.1 preparation and form of candidate statement as stated in a second reading. Are there any comments or questions on this item?
I just wanted to highlight that there is one change that was requested from the last time in Board Policy 6115. It was requested to add Indigenous Peoples Day, and so we added that in.
Right.
Oh, and then also, oh, sorry, that's the next item.
Are there any other comments or questions? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
First and second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That was unanimous. Moving on to item 11B, the board will consider updating BB 9323 meeting conduct to include provisions for district procedures, practices, or changes. Ms. McCulloch, I think you wanted to, yes, perfect, go ahead.
This is the one where we kept the language about the end time of 10:30 that I had requested the last meeting. And so we removed the strikeout and left it in. So I just wanted to highlight that.
Are there any other comments or questions on this? Seeing as there's not, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the second reading of BB 9323 as recommended by the administration.
Second.
So first and a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That was unanimous. Now we're moving on to item 12, my favorite part of the agenda where we get to hear from the public. So this portion of the agenda is available for individuals to comment on or address the board on any issues that is under the board's jurisdiction and not on the agenda. The maximum time allowed for any speakers is usually 2 minutes.
I figured I'd dance over here a little bit, make it faster. So once again, Jennifer Blanco, trustee from San Bruno Park School District. I'm here to speak on behalf of board policy, your board policy 1325, that does not allow for outside of your school district to promote programming, culturally relevant, education opportunities for youth and for parents in your district. And so how I found that out was when I was trying to promote Oye, the youth summit, Latino Youth Summit down in Redwood City. And so that's when your previous superintendent made me aware of the policy. So I asked him, and I think I did send a letter to the board, and then also Sandy shortly after her appointment, sharing the concerns of your board policy that doesn't allow for that information. So, and the reason why I was proactive ahead of time was because I knew that myself and my other Latino colleagues here throughout the county, that we were going to work together to plan the inaugural Latino Heritage Month Speaker Series. The first one is September 15th. And so I did ask your tech person, see if he can upload the 2 flyers that one of them has already gone out to all the superintendents here in the county. Dr. Baker down from Redwood City sent a letter to all the superintendents asking the support to become partners to promote this information through all of our 23 school districts. And so in looking in your approval tonight, I didn't see 1325. And so I was just wondering, I know that I kind of came ahead out of it, but in speaking with your board president earlier today, there's no mention of the new amendment. So I was wondering if your tech person can show if Will can show the 2 flyers that we're asking for the school districts to promote. It's the flyers for September 15th for Sylvia Mendez, distinguished speaker, and then the September 22nd, where we have Dr. Richard Carranza and Sarayi Espinosa Salamanca, who is the founder of the Dreamers Roadmap. So I was wondering if he was
So
going to
we
come up.
don't normally show on our social for public
Okay.
comment, but it's up to the board president.
Okay, if it's possible, if Will can I just want you to see what the flyer is, what it looks like, and who the guest speakers are.
And I guess the only thing I would say is, in order to make sure that we are consistent with how we're doing it for everyone that is coming to do public speaking, I would say probably that would not be a good idea. However, and typically, like I said, we don't also respond back on public comment. And so I think this is a bit of a tricky situation.
Oh, I understand. But I do want to also let you know there are 6 actually limitations on where we can as a board. I'm not asking for that. I just want to show you what the flyer is, and that's it.
President,
If you,
Thank you.
would it be possible for us to just see it without it being shown on the screen?
So my next question would be, well, there's 2 things. I think our trustees, if we could have access to that, that would be great. I think the second part of it would be, and again, technically, we're not supposed to be responding back to comments, and so this is out of character here. But if it's okay with my fellow board trustees, that I
this is
address-
actually violating the Brown Act, I
Yeah.
believe. So
So-
we probably need to
So
not discuss this.
Exactly. So can we reconvene this conversation with regards to that specific policy, so that we do not violate that Brown Act, and so that we're not being consistent with how we address public comment that is coming to the board?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Just want to let you know that there are 4 events, though. So I'm hoping you're able to promote the September 15th, which is right around the corner. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Blanco. With that, we will be moving to item 13, governance team member comments, reports, and board meeting reflection. And I'm going to start on my left.
Well, first of all, I'm so happy to hear other people making motions. Thank you. Thank you for, I feel like this meeting went really smooth and very effective, and we had a lot of good conversations. So thank you to my fellow board trustees. Thank you to the cabinet and public comments. And then can we end more meetings at this time in the future?
Welcome back to everyone. And I think we did a good job of keeping our focus on the best interests of our students. Thank you.
Thought it was a good meeting. I particularly appreciated the update from Mr. Bonilla and Valera Communications. Communications is so important, to our district, and I'm really encouraged by what I'm seeing. Shared with Superintendent McCulloch, I thought the last this newsletter that came out today was really engaging. Glad to see us stepping up on social media. That's really important, and I like hearing the consistency between the internal and external messaging, so everyone in the community knows what we're doing. Thank you. See you all at Back to School Night, September 7th.
I am actually really grateful for the opportunity for us to revisit this conversation of communication. And I know I shared openly that since I've been on the board, we haven't been a part of that. So I think it's just a wonderful example of this new level of inclusion. And I want to thank our superintendent for opening up that opportunity. I do also I had hoped not to comment on what was shared during public comment by a colleague of ours in another district. I did want to ask the superintendent I actually want to support what the president said, if we could revisit that board policy, because we kind of touched some of that during the Voller presentation, but for two very core reasons. This is an I statement. One, out of respect for our colleague across the peninsula. And secondly, I want to do my due diligence in revisiting this policy, because I want to know, why are we not doing this when we are doing it publicly during our shared? So I don't want us to be in violation if this is what we've been practicing these past few meetings, and yet it's our board policy. I'm kind of thinking that means we've been out of step. So I definitely want to make sure that that's not the case, and hope that we can revisit this board policy at our next meeting. And also, as a courtesy, respond back if that's possible without violating the Brown Act to what was shared tonight. I don't know what requests look like. That's another question I want to ask, because I know you share a lot of information in your information bulletin. I would think the protocol would that's how it would be routed to us. And I think it's important to have that reminder go out to the community and our fellow colleagues in other school districts that there is a protocol, and that's ours. It may not be the same in other school districts, but it should be routed to you, and you share it out to us, through our information bulletin. And I want to make sure that she's clear and that her board's clear, and anyone else on other school boards, because it's not that we don't want to share, but we do have a process that should be respected. And I want to thank our board president for holding firm to how we do things. And it's not to exclude, but it is important that we follow policy and procedures. So thank you, and I appreciate that. And all the best for the rest of the week. And we started on a positive note. I think that we continue to keep our focus on the best interests of our students, and that's what we're doing. And I believe that that's what we've done tonight. Thank you.
Before I make my comment, is there a statement that I'm supposed to have here? Oh, thank you. Perfect. Okay, and then I'm going to make my comment now. Thank you. I want to echo my fellow trustees. I think this was a really great meeting. I do not know if we'll be able to get out of here every time at this time. I think this is a pretty short meeting. A lot of our items were on consent. I think if we as trustees could ensure to ask questions in advance of our superintendent, it will help the meeting go a little bit smoother because we're not confused. I think the goal would be that whatever we do ask before the meeting, if there's anything specific that we want the public to be to have transparency on, then I think that's what we bring up versus using the meeting to gather information. So I think that was part of the help here as well. I also wanted to bring up that our superintendent did send out communication to us as a board with regards to the Masters in Governance trainings. And so for the newer trustees, I would absolutely suggest, if you haven't looked into that yet, please do so. A lot of what we're talking about, LCAP, budget, all of that is a part of those Masters in Governance trainings. And so I think once that happens, let's re-engage the conversation that we had at the last meeting around having workshop for us to kind of figure out what it is that we want to dive deeper into, because I do think that there will be some things, but I don't want to be premature with having those workshops if you all haven't been exposed to the general information that's needed. And then the last thing, I was going to say something about an event that's happening in the community, but I'm like, maybe I should keep that to myself now. But this was a great meeting tonight. I really appreciate everyone's comments. I think we did a really good job keeping our focus on the best interest of our students and also keeping our remarks pretty concise. So with that, I am going to close this meeting in memory of Damian Gonzalez. Damian Gonzalez was a former student at Daniel Webster Elementary and Fernando Rivera Intermediate Schools from 2014 to 2017. Chip Docks, father of Morgan Docks, teacher at John F. Kennedy Elementary School. Cecile T. Owens, retired board member of Bayshore Elementary School District.
Board President, I apologize before you hit the gavel. I forgot to mention that we do have Measure K, a listening session tomorrow at Dolger. So if anyone's available, I know Measure K funds, we benefit from that. And so they are looking for our feedback tomorrow. Supervisor Canepa and his team will be conducting that at Dolger Senior Center. I think it's at 1:30.
I was going to ask, what time is it at?
1:30 to 3.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And with that, we will adjourn our meeting at